Hey, how are you? Yeah, we are back at it on the Lancia Subaru Hybrid. What we're going to look at today is a couple of different things. You probably don't have a really good angle on it, but I put on one of these other style sail panels, and I haven't put it on. I've just been sort of fitting it up and seeing how it fits, and working at taking the other one off, sort of, to see if I can make them interchangeable. And we'll go into a little bit of detail about that. Another thing is I've been wanting to get started on the exhaust to some degree and see how that is going to go together. And I've got some ideas, and I thought I should share them with you. Yeah, so let's get into that. This is one half of the Subaru SVX exhaust system, a portion of it. We got catalytic converter here. The headers on the passenger side go into here, and we got a little oxygen sensor dealie there, and everything is clad in stainless steel heat shields, which is great. I'm going to reuse them as best I can. Obviously, you know, it doesn't need to be this long because we are not from the front of the car now. So a lot of this length going from the headers to the catalytic converter is going to be shortened, but yeah, we still need to have some space in there for the oxygen sensor. It looks kind of cool with a bunch of heat shielding on it. And yeah, I'm going to try and reuse that as much as possible. This is the driver's side exhaust. Doesn't look as nice without all the heat shielding on it, but Subaru looks like they use some pretty heavy wall tubing to make this. It's all mild steel, nothing super fancy, no stainless, so I don't need to worry about TIG welding it with stainless wire or anything like that. And I believe I can just MIG it up, and even if I have to shorten the heat shields, which I will, I can MIG those together. The stainless doesn't, it doesn't have to be stainless wire. Although I would like to buy some stainless wire, I just haven't come across any. Yeah, the angle of the oxygen sensor is, I've heard it's not absolutely critical, but yeah, I want to maintain that as best I can. So I'll be trying to do that. Yeah, so why don't we get under the car and I can show you what this kind of looks like. All right. And yeah, okay, while we get ready to do that, I can show you the sail panel for the car here. So this is solid. It's called, I guess, called a buttress, whereas the other one with the window in it is termed a flying buttress because there's nothing supporting the bottom of it. But yeah, I think I actually like it better than the other one, but I'm going to try and make them interchangeable. Had to do some drilling to remove the base of it, and this is what was underneath that. So, a bunch of speed holes. and had to drill out these spot welds along the channel here. And I also wanted to do this just to expose this metal so that I could wire wheel it, sand it, get the rust off of it basically. And yeah, here's the cover panel that was in place. And if any of you guys are interested in doing something like this, these two pieces were welded together along here, and I had to kind of gingerly take a hacksaw and separate them so that I could separate them. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, yeah, the bottom of these are rusty, but not too bad. Fiat and Lancia back then used, wow, some weird spray stuff. It just kind of looked like elephant snot on this stuff, and it did trap moisture, but it was really lightweight, and I guess it was done to reduce resonance. So because these like empty metal chambers, I guess would vibrate and probably make a huge racket going down the road, and contribute to the noise, vibration, and harshness of the driving experience. All right, so underneath the car here, we have headers on both sides, and we're going to try and mess with. Oops, I'm pushing buttons on the camera. Try and mess with that guy. I'll get some light, and we'll see if we can make this kind of clear. Here we are underneath the car. We've got the headers coming out here. Yeah, really a nice amount of space around the engine, all around in this engine bay below. Up top, it's gets a little bit tighter, but still down below here, it's not too shabby. Oops. And here's one of the studs for the exhaust. So, because the angle of this engine, I believe I've maintained the angle of the engine and transmission after installing it. A lot of these exhaust angles are I'd like to maintain them. Just really shorten them radically. The catalytic converter, I think, is probably going to have to end up right here-ish. Or maybe like a little bit forward like that, because after leaving the catalytic converter, I don't know, I guess it's possible I could have it come out like this into the space back here. I don't know though. I don't know if I like that. It also kind of makes that the lowest part of the vehicle, and I really don't want to scrape anything. And putting the catalytic converter right here, I'm going to have these exhaust stubs coming out right above it, and so yeah, it's not really going to cook them, because I am going to put the heat shields back in place. So yeah, that shouldn't be just baking everything under here in hot exhaust heat. But what I would like to do is have it come into the catalytic converter, come out here and then take a 90-degree turn going vertical, and going vertical into some flex tubing on either side, each independent exhaust, and then go up and into the engine compartment with into a like a Flowmaster muffler with dual inputs and then dual exhaust tips, and shroud that pretty heavily in heat shielding in there to protect everything. And then maybe after that, coming back down into some exits, and possibly do some resonance stuff out here, past this suspension cross member in this sort of little area. Yeah, there's not a crap ton of space on either side of the transmission anymore, but I think something small like a resonance tube or something like that I could fit back here. So that's the idea. Anyway, at this point, I think I would like to at least cut some of this stuff so that I could see where I can get the catalytic converter fit. So maybe right there, maybe right there, and put this O2 sensor kind of right there on the joint, if that works. So radically cutting a lot out of this, and the same thing with after the converter too. So let's see how heavy this exhaust tubing is. All right, just so you guys have like a bird's eye view of the intent. Yeah, have the exhaust come out here underneath the drive shafts and come up here and into this kind of shelf area for the muffler, in which I do have plenty of room back here for, because really nothing else needs to go back here. And yeah, this is going to be, it's going to require a lot of air venting, and so yeah, there's these vents, which I don't want any of this plastic stuff to melt, so I'm going to try and heat shield everything regular, and thoroughly. And then there's a lot of vents in the hood, the deck lid, so that should vent a lot of that. And that was also part of one of the reasons why I wanted to add, some vents on the side of the car to bring even more fresh air into here, into the engine bay, to just really keep everything ventilated as much as possible. But yeah, I think that is a sort of sound-ish plan. All right. A little, not nervous necessarily, but just don't want to make a mistake. Cut a little extra. We can always trim more back later. And that's to this. Kablamo. Okay, so I had briefly thought when I was building this framing, and I'm putting the heat shields on this catalytic converter. I made sure to make this space large enough because I was thinking perhaps I was going to put the catalytic converters, kind of mount them floating in space, you know, supported by the, you know, muffler straps or whatever, kind of like right there. And I still could, I suppose, but a couple of people brought up some good points about, you know, because this is, you know, just a square, you know, it's not a triangle or whatever, or a circle, there's going to be stress points in the corners. And I was thinking about just sheeting all this in sheet metal, you know, and boxing it on either side to kind of further strengthen that up and prevent any, I don't know, is it torsional or I don't know, but just basically increase the strength of that structure. So I'm probably not going to do that. But anyway, now that things are cut, we can get back under here and see what the heck I was doing, or thinking of doing. And also, keeping the catalytic converter low should, I'm hoping, help with just, you know, just keeping the mass of the car as low as possible. I mean, yeah, the engine is as low as I could reasonably get it without having to do a crap load of work. You know, just changing suspension pickup points, sway bar mounts, and a lot of other stuff. So, you know, the whole cost-benefit ratio of trying to get it perfect, you know, you gotta pay attention to what you can get done. And all right, so I put that in upside down. But that's kind of getting close to where I'm ultimately going to need to have stuff. Because I would like, you know, to be able to put this car, you know, I don't want to, like, you know, slam it down on the ground so that it's useless to drive. But, you know, everyone likes to have a nice low slung sports car. And I am no different. Alright, Christopher. Almost done. Stud screwed in. There we go. Alright. So, turning around. So if that were sort of made up right there, that gives a nice amount of room. I mean, it basically almost makes the catalytic converter level with the cross member here. And I could actually, you know, shorten these up a little bit and make it tighter. There's space to put the oxygen sensor there and have the wiring. Actually, it's a little perfect little hole here on either side of the cross member for the wiring to go up into and loom out of the way. And so yeah, this also keeps enough room over here to add like a 90-degree kind of. I might want to shorten this up a little bit more. Yeah, that might be necessary to add enough room for that 90 degrees going up into the flex pipe. And then the flex pipe, is just, you put that in there so that when, the engine starts or when it revs or when you shouldn't kill it while it's in gear, you know. So yeah, if the engine, twists one way or the other, the exhaust can have somewhere to move and flex. Okay. So this is getting, kind of reasonably close-ish to where I would like it to be. Yeah, so I don't know what more I can share in this episode. I'm kind of comfortable laying on this, frankly. I'm sure a number of us have just gotten comfortable laying under our cars and just letting the time slip away and thinking about what we can do next on cars. But yeah, I'm hopeful that this is going to be a good solution. Another good reason to kind of be a parts hoarder when you're doing an engine conversion like this, and just keep all these random associated parts that go to the stock car, because I do want to license it. I mean, I'd like to license it in California, and you do need to have all the aftermarket or all the original equipment, catalytic converters and everything in place. It's all just going to be shorter, and and this is what it is. I mean, I don't need to go up to like massive diameter exhaust tubing. That's not going to buy me anything. And what just shortening the effective length of the entire exhaust is going to do is going to allow me to it's essentially like adding on a large diameter exhaust, because you're not having to blow through a small straw through such a long distance. When you shorten that distance, it's a lot easier. So I'm going to be reducing exhaust back pressure just by shortening this up and piecing this together. So that's it. I will talk to all you people later.